Good morning. Thank you for tuning in for the MOV experience, or the Marana and Oro Valley Experience. It's great to have you back with us. It's great to be following up the Wake Up Live program. If you haven't watched that before, it's some funny and good stuff and some great insight. I had the pleasure of running the show this morning, and I will be continuing to do so on Mondays and Fridays for the foreseeable future, probably likely into October. And if you're wondering why, it's because it's fun. And I need to be at the top of the game on the buttons back there so I can train other folks that are starting with us. So if you haven't checked it out yet, I know that there's the movexperience.org website here on the intro. It is up and it's in a beta stage. So if you get a chance and want to check it out and see what's being built, it is operating, and we have our local expert guide, Lila, available to assist you if you have questions and are looking for places to eat, or attractions to go to, and or resorts and places to stay. Lila can help you. Also, the website can too. It also operates as an app. You can actually save it to your phone and receive push notifications and other information if you see fit. I am very excited for our guest today. This is probably the coolest one I've done in a while. And I was actually really pumped when I asked Brian to join, and he said, sure, let's go. Brian and I do have a history together. We were actually in the Impact Marana class 2 at the Marana Chamber of Commerce, which was a great program. If you're a local leader, business owner, or somebody that wants to be civically involved, I highly suggest joining Impact Marana 3's class. I believe their application process is still open on their website. Don't miss out on such a cool program. You get to see everything that's going on economically, all the development and stuff in Marana. It's great to be a part of, and you make new friends, right? I really feel like Brian and I are here today because we had the opportunity to sit in a classroom together, get to know each other, and understand each other. And I've always wondered so many things about Chick-FIl-A, and I know others have as well. And one thing I do know is it's one of the top performing businesses, restaurants, fast food in the United States, and it's only open 6 days a week, as opposed to some that stay open every day, which is really, really cool.
It's crazy, huh?
It is. But you know what? It goes into so much more. I generally feel people go, and I've had conversations with them. They go there because of how they're treated, and there's like a level of certainty on your order. Like, you know, you're going to get what you need and what you want, but you're also going to get the customer service at a really, really high level. So what goes into that, Brian? First, let's get to know you a little bit so the listeners of views can know you, and then we'll talk about that.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks for having me today.
Yeah.
So we moved here 8 years ago from North Carolina, which is crazy. It was almost like 8 years to the month. It's gone by super quick. And I feel like I talk to a lot of people, and they don't actually realize that we've been open that long, because I think it's kind of gone by quick for everybody. So yeah, we're super blessed to be here. This is an amazing community, and I think I might be biased, but I think our Chick-FIl-A is in the best position across the market. I think this Marana area, being up here in the Northwest market, being able to serve Oro Valley, we're just in this unique little pocket of amazing people and amazing communities and amazing schools, and yeah, like being able to do things like the Impact Marana through the Marana Chamber. I mean, it's an amazing organization, and I think working with the town as well has always been so easy. And I've been in meetings where I'll leave and I'll kind of be scratching my head, like, super blessed that they would take the time to sit down and meet with me, because you just don't get that in too many communities. So yeah, we're very blessed to be in this market.
That's really cool. North Carolina. Okay, I got a question for you on that. So my wife, and I understand if you're biased on it, it's fine. My wife always talks about us getting another house in North Carolina or moving out there. What are your thoughts on it compared to where we're at right now?
Yeah, I would highly recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny moving out here. So we have 2 girls, and it was so different. So coming out here to the desert with cactus, it was just like kind of mind blowing. But North Carolina is pretty special too. It's kind of unique because we were right in the center. So we were in Chapel Hill. So one, it was a college town. So being around the Tar Heels, it was kind of in the girls' blood since the moment we moved there. And it's nice. The beach was about 2 hours away. The Blue Ridge Mountains were about 4 hours away. So really well positioned. But I feel like Arizona has that too. It's kind of cool where we are. It's down in the desert, but then you drive 4.5, 5 hours, and you're up in Flagstaff and it's a totally different world. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool everywhere, but I am certainly biased that North Carolina is an amazing place.
Yeah. Now she's listening and watching. We're going to end up taking a trip there for sure. It's really cool. So getting into a Chick-fil-A operation and ownership, I've heard rumors of things, and I don't have any way to make the information valid. I can go look online and all that stuff, but I'm sure there's more that goes into it than what's just presented. Yeah. And first is the want and the desire to do it, right? What were you doing before this, and what made you want or desire to be a Chick-fil-A operator and owner?
Yeah, so I took kind of a unique path. So I started, I grew up a swimmer and a triathlete, and so my dad was a career swim coach, and so I kind of fell into that, following in his footsteps. But I'd always wanted to be a firefighter from a very young age, so got into firefighting in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. And then my wife got introduced to a company called Fleet Feet Sports, and so she was working with them. I ended up leaving firefighting a couple of years in so that we could pursue that together, and that's what took us to Chapel Hill. So we had one location there, and then we ended up opening up a second location in Durham. And then shortly after that, we ended up transitioning to the corporate office, which was also located. It's a franchise as well, and that's also in Chapel Hill. And so around that time, I wasn't sure I wanted to kind of go the corporate route, and I had some friends who were Chick-fil-A operators in North Carolina, and we would meet kind of on a regular basis to talk family and faith and life and business. And I would always come home and tell my wife, more and more about the brand. We always loved it from a food standpoint, but I never considered it from a business standpoint. And so as I learned more from them, got more and more excited. And one day she's like, "Hey, you should apply." But little did I know, it's a super long process, and I didn't think I had any chance, but decided to go for it. And I remember I got through the first phase, which I think at the time was like a 30-page application or something like that, pretty long. And they were like, "Hey, this will probably be like a 2-week kind of period until you hear something," and then ended up hearing back pretty quick. And so I got super excited. I was like, "Hey, I'm in." But yeah, little did I know it was a long process. It was about 2.5-year process, many interviews. And I think they can do that because they just have so many applicants who are interested. And I think at the time I went through, there were about 60,000 applications, and I think now it's upwards to about 80,000.
Wow!
So they can take their time and be selective. And I think they really want to get to know you as a person versus maybe what experience that you've had in the restaurant industry. I mean, they certainly take that, but there's plenty of other people who come from military backgrounds or have other business backgrounds. And I think really what they're looking for is, do you have the passion for the brand? And I think that throughout the 2.5 years, they can kind of measure that, because I think if you're not, you'll probably jump ship out of that process pretty quick. And then I think also what they can do during that time is really get to know you as a person. And what was interesting is the interview was not really those interviews that try to trip you up. It's really just, hey, let me get to know you, and starting all the way back to childhood. So pretty cool that they're able to do that and that they take their time. And and I don't know how I got picked.
They liked you.
I don't ask too many questions once you get picked, but super blessed to be out here.
That's really interesting and cool. See, I didn't know that's what they were focusing on, was the person more, right? Mm-hmm. Like, are they stable? Because if you're in that 2.5-year window, like, you got to be doing something else in the meantime.
Yeah, and they're very clear to say, hey, do not make any decisions, I guess, based on getting selected, because your chances of getting selected are pretty small. And they're pretty good at kind of popping that bubble every time you go in. I remember multiple times I'd end up back at the airport and call my wife, and I'm like, I think that's it. Like, process is done, and then somehow kept kind of moving forward. And I think I think that's pretty special that they're able to do that, and who they're trying to pick is really, I think, goes back to Truett Cathy, who is the founder, and he really never wanted a franchise to begin with, which is always kind of interesting, because when you look at what we are now, the third largest quick service or fast food behind McDonald's and Starbucks, like, I don't know that he ever would have envisioned that was even possible. I think he always had this kind of passion to pursue excellence rather than success. Mm-hmm. And actually at our orientations, I show a video that he from a speech that he was given, and in there he says, "I would rather have one restaurant do a really good job than have hundreds where 10% of them are underperforming." So he was definitely pursuing that level of excellence, and I think he realized in order to do that, he had to go into business and partnership with the right people. And obviously, it's been different seasons of that. Back in the day, I think there was a lot of kind of the, "Hey, are you interested? And come follow me and I'll teach you."
Yeah.
Whereas I think now that the brand is what it is, and the opportunity is what it is, it's more and more people looking to get involved.
Yeah. Well, the brand is everywhere. I'm a huge football fan, so I see the Chick-FIl-A Bowl. That's big.
Yep.
It's a big time thing. And then, I've gone to a couple sporting events. I was recently at the Tucson Sugar Schools game, and there's Chick-FIl-A.
Yep.
You can just walk by and get a sandwich. You're good to go, and some fries. And I think that's just is awesome.
Yeah.
And you see the brand everywhere. The other thing that I know too personally is the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the staff, like it seems like what you're talking about trickles down all the way to the line staff.
Yeah.
They're great at communicating. They listen, they make eye contact. They make you feel present with them. And then it goes on to the food.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to knock another brand, right? I'm not going to throw out other places, but when I go to other establishments, it's very, very noticeable, the difference.
Mm-hmm.
The question for that is like, how do you recruit that? Like, how do you make that happen? It's got to be a process that you devote a lot of time into for your managers to find people like that. How do you do that?
Yeah, and I agree. I think we have an amazing team, and there's so many times throughout the day where I'll just look over at them and just see how fast they're working and how much they're hustling. And really, it's on us to be able to find a way to simplify the job itself. Because really, we thrive off people and systems, and so we have to find the right people, and then we have to create the right systems to simplify everything that they're doing throughout the day and the shift. And so, yeah, I'll look around and just kind of be mind blown at how great they are. And and we ask a lot of them. And I think just the reality is, any one of them could go find another job, probably for similar pay, and have to work a lot less hard than we ask them to. And it's not just me, right? It's the guests. And I explained that at orientation, that when I'm like, "Hey, we need to go faster," or a leader is saying like, "Hey, we need to go faster," it's not just because we're over here trying to, set some personal record. It's because we've got a line halfway to target and we have to solve for that. And so we're super blessed that we have guests that are coming and willing to see that line and jump in and saying like, "Hey, this is going to go quick." And then we have to figure out how to simplify that. And so it really just comes down to people and systems, which sounds fairly easy, but it is 100% the most complicated things that we do. And I think on the people side, it's always, every day we are trying to find new and better ways to recruit and retain top talent. So everything from surveying the team to trying new incentives to just care. I think at the end of the day, it's proven, right, that if you feel cared for, that you will thrive in that organization and look to grow within it. And it's hard because sometimes we also have leaders that have not led people or not led systems. And so, yeah, it's a constant like evolution of really, I think, training, which is interesting because that's also something that I would say is easy to set up a training system, but it's also hard to execute that month after month in a meaningful way as the business is changing, as people are changing, and also just trying to figure out, because we have a lot of young team members, as far as like what do they need, how do they thrive, and how are we making sure that we are kind of meeting them where they are, and then lifting them up to where we expect them to be, where the brand expects them to be. So when we hire, we've kind of come up with this thing from Patrick Lencioni's book, The Ideal Team Player, and it kind of breaks down 3 components as humble, hungry, and smart. And so throughout the interview process, we're looking for those kind of 3 key attributes, and then working through that throughout their journey of employment. And that's fairly new to us, so I'm actually I'm looking forward to this whole next probably 12 to 18 months of really expanding on that, because I think before it was always just looking for people who had the interest, and we are blessed with that because I think we're riding off the shoulders of many people before us who built this brand and built the reputation, and you don't see like the memes online where team members are running after your guests because we forgot your sauces and those kind of things.
I was gonna bring those up at some point.
Yeah, or like the red couch commercials, right? I mean, those are all like authentic, real team members and guests who are sharing that, and so that's our recruitment tool, right? Because someone who looks at that and says, "Hey, like that's me," like those are my people. Like I love to serve people. I love to find solutions. So those, I mean, we get other people who apply too, but I would say that by and large, we probably get a different applicant applying. Also, because if they eat with us and they walk in and they see that line halfway to Target and they see the line out the front door and see how crazy it is, like that's going to scare off a lot of people. But I think it also might excite the right person as well. And they're just like, hey, like I thrive in fast-paced environments. And then I think again, long term, we have to figure out how to take that fast-paced environment and simplify it so that it's not always, I guess, going to be enjoyable. Right? Like there's moments of any day of anything that's worthwhile doing right is going to be challenging. But that at the end of the day, when they walk out, they're like, that was pretty sweet, right? Like we set some records and we did this and we did that. And that's where that team element comes in.
Yeah. Have you ever seen somebody come through your location that ended up applying for their own? Like have you seen somebody? Member? Yeah. Have you seen a team member come through and they were just so bought in and ready to go and loved it that they put in an application for their own? Yeah,
not yet, but I'm excited for it. Yeah. We've certainly had people look to grow. So there's actually a lot of opportunities within Chick-fil-A. So it's one of the few brands where you actually can be a team member as 15, 16 years old and then eventually be an owner operator. And so there's actually a couple operatives in the market who went through that path, and it's called the Leadership Development Program. And so that's pretty cool that the brand allows that. And has that opportunity. But then there's also externals currently in the market. There's a couple of them that I meet with on a regular basis who are in the process. And, we always invite them in to learn more about the operations, and just allows them to be able to speak into their interview process. But I think it would be, it'd be pretty special. And I think once you get one or you have someone who's on that journey, I think it just kind of breeds more because other people see that and see where the potential is. And I think the good and the bad is that the potential is there. The bad is it's probably a longer journey than I think maybe in our society today we want everything right now. And so I think it takes a unique individual to be able to look and say like, hey, this is an amazing pathway, and I'll build towards it. But it's an amazing group that we have, and we have team members right now that are at the U of A studying amazing things, and people who want to go on and start their own businesses. So it's pretty cool to see the people that are choosing Chick-fil-A and whatever journey they're on to kind of learn. And maybe it is also just a job, right, for like a means to an end at this season. But our kind of hope is that as they leave, they always look back and say, hey, that was hard work, but it was also my favorite job.
Taking in what they can from it. It's really cool. You mentioned leadership a few times in our conversation this morning. I want to thank you in your location for sponsoring, and Chick-fil-A for sponsoring a leadership event that we co-sponsored too. The Live to Lead event that was that Maxwell program at the Oro Valley Church of the Nazarene. I want to say thank you for that. Listeners and viewers, Chick-fil-A and Brian and his team also attended the leadership development class. But you supplied the lunch for everybody that was there. And all we heard was how awesome it was and how grateful they were for that. So again, I want to thank you for that. But what did you think of that event? I mean, you guys didn't hesitate to get involved with it when we approached you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, first of all. And it was certainly our pleasure. And I think, those types of events are, I think, so needed in today's world. I mean, there's a lot of leadership content out there, but I think to just get together, I mean, just like we were at Impact Marana, like you're getting local leaders, whether they're, a 19-year-old shift leader at a Chick-fil-A, or you're getting like a business leader or the superintendent of the school district all together. And, there's a lot of, good things and power that can come out of that. And I know our team certainly walked away with a lot of really good information, but also just that day of reflection. And I think that's also one of the biggest things, is just get out of the daily grind, because when you're in it every day, you start thinking super small. And so I think for us to be able to take some of them, and for some of them, that was the first time they'd been to something like that.
Nice.
And, and this was actually kind of funny. We we had a high school senior who was a key leader for us, and he ended up going to that and had to skip school. And then we had the superintendent there, so that was kind of fun too. But it was kind of fun, right?
Did you guys have a meet?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's kind of cool, right? That it's, he's like, he got something that day that probably school couldn't teach him, and not that school wasn't important on that day, and it was a decision that he and his parents made. But it was really cool that we were able to invite him to something like that. That hopefully, he remembers that for the rest of his life, because, that's just something outside of the box and pushing someone to go kind of reach higher and think bigger.
Yeah. No, it's powerful, especially at a young age and get into that.
Mm-hmm.
I reflect back my young age, we didn't have, I had some great coaches, like sports, football coach, but there wasn't a program like that for me to jump into. And that's part of the reason that we're involved with that, is that was the first one, but we've got another one already on the schedule. So if you're interested in bringing some more team members, again, we're going to bring in some more leaders. Yeah. So we'll get together and make it happen. Yeah. It was a great day. I love Dr. Streeter's program and what he talked about. And he's so great at telling a story. All of them were, all the Maxwell presenters, right? There was a story to it. You don't just come in with some hot shot that's just going to give you this advice and everything. Everything led back to their story and their faith. Right. And that faith is something I'm not afraid to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I know the Chick-FIl-A organization isn't either, right? It's very, very present in everything that happens. But that program is based around a lot of that. And I grew up reading Maxwell, and I'm super into John and what he presents. And there's a funny story where somebody asked John Maxwell, "Hey, where are you getting all of this information from? Where are you coming up with this?" And he's like, and he was just talking to somebody that he felt that wasn't a believer. He's like, "Well, if I told you where it came from, you probably wouldn't be interested." I thought that was the coolest thing.
That's the truth, though, right? I think oftentimes, I don't know, it's either too simple. Like Truett would talk about that a lot, because early on he made the decision to close on Sundays and basically build Chick-FIl-A off biblical principles. And so when people would ask him, like, "Hey, how are you finding your success?" He first would say, "Well, hey, I've written a book about it." And and he wrote a few books, and they were super simple, but they were simple practices. But then I think going and actually applying those principles can often be the challenge, right? Because, for whatever reason, right? And so I think, like, it doesn't always have to be overly complicated. And I think it does just take a little bit of faith to be able to step out and do things that are different, and do them in a way that you're kind of honoring God. And I believe that as simple as that is, it's also really complicated. But I think if you're true to it, I think you will see blessings. And I think there's no doubt that our brand has found those blessings because of that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have some faith to take a jump like you did, to throw that application in. I mean, it's life-changing. It's the risk, essentially, right? Some people go, "Oh man, you're delusional for believing in that risk." But then when it pans out and you go, "Well, what powered you to keep going?" And you talked about the process 2.5 years. I want to ask you, what powered you to keep going?
Yeah. And it's hard because honestly, during that time, I didn't know anybody within Chick-FIl-A. I knew the local operators, but I didn't know anyone within the company. And I think it's a little more transparent now. But I'd go like weeks and months with no update. And so there were times I'd talk to my wife, and I'm like, I don't know, did they forget about me? Am I still in the process? And and I think it would have been probably easy to just back out at that point. And I think if I wasn't doing this, I probably would be back in public safety to some degree. That's always kind of been a passion of mine. But yeah, super thankful that I did stick it out. And I think to be able to be in partnership with a brand like Chick-FIl-A, and not just who they are as people, but I think what we are as a brand. And I think it's food. And I often tell our team that, Truett had a quote, "The food is essential for life, therefore make it good." And I think the unique thing about food compared to like Flea Feet, before we sold shoes. And so we would get people, mostly runners, maybe someone training for first time they've ever done a 5K, or maybe they're training for their 12th marathon. But we'd also maybe just get little ladies walking in with a walker that needed a stable shoe, but it came down to like, we had a very specific product that people were choosing to come in and get the experience in the product. But with Chick-fil-A, the reality is everybody eats, and so we get a whole wide like range of personalities and belief systems and value systems. And at the end of the day, like our goal is to serve amazing food in a loving way to everybody. And I know not everybody maybe likes Chick-fil-A or likes chicken or wants to come in, but if one day they happen to walk in because we were just on the corner and they were there and there was a need and they were hungry or thirsty, that my hope is that they would get that emotional hug at the door. No matter what they came in with, whether they just got in a car accident or whether they were in a fight with their spouse or whatever, they come in and they're just fired up or whatever, just having a bad day, that we can make it a little bit brighter. And I think that goes back to the team, right? The fact that the team can still acknowledge that and look at that in amongst the chaos. I mean, because our job is to get food out first and foremost and get it out safe and hot and fresh. But beyond that, it's all what we call second mile service. And that actually comes from a biblical principle. Back in the day, the Roman soldier could walk up and say, hey, you need to carry my gear for a mile. And so then Jesus said, hey, just go ahead and carry it for 2 miles. And I think, that principle, true, it always stuck behind is like, hey, like, let's try to go that second mile. And we can't do it for every guest. I think that's unrealistic and would probably be somewhat scripted. So I think it's empowering the team to just say, hey, be different, be passionate, and just be loving, right? Like at the end of the day, we just want to love everybody that walks in, and hopefully they love our food, and then they can walk out and share the experience. And I think that's often what they tend to talk more about with Chick-fil-A is like the emotional connection that they had. Obviously the food is the driver, but I think that the emotional connection is really what we're trying to get after.
Absolutely. And one thing too I noticed is that your organization and you're very involved in the community here. It's not like you're just here and just serving food out the door. You took time out of your day and you joined Impact Marana, which took a couple months, right? We had classes and you're gone for the day. But also you're involved with quite a bit of philanthropy inside in the community as well. If I'm not mistaken, you're a partner with University of Arizona Sports or
we are, yeah. So as a Tucson market, we partner with the U of A Athletics, which is a lot of fun because we're able to get involved in, we have signage in the McHale Center and we do some activations with the cows and stuff, but it's just cool to be aligned with our biggest, athletic venue and passion. I mean, I think there is, we've actually measured it through our own marketing platform, and it's just amazing. We don't have these professional teams, but we have or major professional teams, but the U of A, really stands out as like that is the place. So it's fun to be connected with that. But I think more for us, it's the local schools. So we kind of have 3 pillars that I decided that were kind of passion points of mine coming in. The first is education. Second is youth sports. And then the third is public safety. And so that's really kind of the 3 pillars that we tried to narrow it down. I feel like we'll probably say yes to most things just because we want to be out in the community and we really love this community. But I think if we're really trying to get deep into things, that's where we focus. And I think education, that goes everywhere from taking the cow to a school to read to them to partnering with spirit events and partnering with just other either needs that they have or activations to help them raise money, or just kind of go out to a school festival and just kind of create some excitement. It is fun. You take the cow anywhere and there's like general excitement and people want to take photos. And so that's the focus. And I think youth sports, I just think so much good comes from organized youth activity. And there's plenty of other things, obviously, and through the education, we're able to hit, theater and other clubs. But I think youth sports just teaches kids, so many life lessons as well. So that's a lot of fun. And going back to the education side, we're involved in a lot of the football teams locally, and not that other sports aren't important, but that's just kind of that passion season. So we actually have some football helmets up in the restaurant of all of our local high schools. And so we'll do everything from doing fundraisers where they'll purchase sandwiches from us at a discount and then sell them at a higher price. And it's a great for us because we're producing the sandwiches, and great for them because they're able to fundraise and then have, people are walking around the stadium eating Chick-fil-A and on a Friday Night Light type thing. So that's a lot of fun. And we do that for a lot of other events too. But I think even like local swim team to, youth soccer to Little League to baseball to you name it, volleyball, wrestling, I feel like we're involved in a lot. And so I feel like the youth sports is it's a fun one to get involved with, and it's kind of a logical one. And then public safety, just any way that we can support them is always good. And it's kind of, from a personal passion of mine, but I also just am super thankful for what they do to protect us. And I mean, we have an amazing, between Oro Valley and Marana, like we're super blessed with the departments that we have and the leadership that we have there. So very thankful for them.
Agreed. I used to be a police officer.
Oh yeah,
for Marana. Yeah.
Wow.
I retired. It's almost like a little over 4 years ago, I think now. Yeah, 2021. Yeah, 4 years ago I retired.
That's awesome.
And one of our favorite spots to go to was Chick-FIl-A, especially during the summer because it's so nice and cool in there. You can go get a meal and cool off all that gear.
Yeah,
and
I know
like
it's rare that you probably don't see some law enforcement in the dining room hanging out.
Yeah,
from at some point throughout the day, there's always going to be someone in there.
Yeah. I've seen DPS and everything else. Yeah, it was one of our favorite spots. And then I know you guys are involved with the National Night Out that the Marana Police Department would do pretty often.
Yeah, that's always fun. And I think even the touch a truck events. I mean, I think that's just so cool to see little kids come and get so excited and be able to build that relationship with public safety is, I think, such a big thing.
See, the key word relationships, man. We talk about that all the time here. People always ask, they ask, why is Live the Dream Media successful? Why is it moving the way it is? And that's one of the key things is relationships. Mm-hmm. And going to that, I heard a story about you.
Oh yeah.
Someone came on the show. I think it was on a show here. They talked about how they're a local business owner, a local restaurant. And they were just looking for some insight on how the big dogs play, how they operate, how they do things. And you showed them some, like, kind of what they're up against, but what it takes to be at that level, like how to get there. Is that true?
Yeah. And, I think, and it always goes both ways. And I think any leader, especially in business, I think if you're not curious, then you're kind of becoming a dinosaur. And there's so much to learn. I mean, whether it's your industry or not, right? Just one leader to another, one industry to another. And so I kind of have these 3 words that I chose a couple years ago as far as like who, like where I spend my time. I mean, obviously I'm the visionary of our organization, and I've got 2 executive leaders and a general manager. Then I've got operational leaders and shift leaders and trainers and team members, and around like 115-ish of them. And so like, who am I when I come in to them? And like visionary is the obvious one, right? Like I'm trying to cast the vision and then like help kind of shape and protect the culture that I've got other leaders working on. But then it was actually during a season of COVID, I was sitting at home for a week and reading some books and just trying to figure out like, hey, like who do I want to be within this kind of journey? And so I came up with 3 words, and it was curiously steward excellence. And I think the curiosity is, I think I'm wired like that. I've always been a curious person. I think it's like those relationships of meeting other local business owners, or I'm very close with a group of operators up in Phoenix. And so we'll meet on a regular basis, go visit each other's restaurants. And that's wild because we're doing the same thing, but doing it very different. Obviously recipes we're following, but how we activate that, how we train, how we hire, how we retain, all those kind of things are done in different ways, or org structures. So it's cool to always kind of, kind of look for the curious learnings. And then I think from like a stewardship, like I'm blessed to be in this position. And I think like I'm in this partnership with Chick-FIl-A, and I have to steward what I've been blessed with, but I also have to, it's not just, it's the resources they've given me, and then steward the opportunity and the resources for the team, and steward their opportunities to be able to go out and, again, take this as a platform to maybe go to college or go, graduate from college and go start their own business, or go work at a dental office, or whatever it is that they're passionate about. But again, that they can always look back and say, hey, that was, like, I learned a lot there, and it was one of my favorite. And then I think on the last word of their excellence, like it's just pursuing that word excellence rather than success. And I think that's kind of been important to me because I think we can all chase success, right? And we can find success, but it's not always necessarily 100% our doing. And I think an example there would be like, let's just say we had good sales growth, and it's like, oh, we've had a successful year. but maybe Target wasn't there and they just opened up, right? And so it's like we're a byproduct of that, and we had to manage it, but it's not like we necessarily went out and created it. So I think like chasing excellence is choosing that, like, hey, if we're, X or X plus Y in volume or capacity or whatever it is, like we get to choose every day to come in and look for that excellence. And so, yeah, like that experience that you explained locally, like that was a lot of fun. And actually last week, the group of operators that I had in town, we went and we had lunch over there. So that was
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
That's super
so
cool.
that's what's fun, right? In this community, to be able to connect with other local, business leaders and just do life together and learn from each other and build those relationships.
Yeah, man. We got to go to a break, and I don't want to.
All right.
But we're going to go to a quick sponsorship break, and we will be right back here on the Marana Oro Valley Experience. Again, always listen in to our conversations on our app, Live the Dream Media app. You can listen audio only on there for now, but you can also watch and stream on YouTube, Facebook, and our website. So we'll be right back after this quick sponsorship. Thank you.
In Marana, community isn't just where we live, it's who we are. And at the heart of it all is the Marana Chamber of Commerce. We are building a thriving community through connected business leadership. We start the month bright and early with Marana Mornings, sparking real conversations and connections. We celebrate growing networks at our 4th Tuesday mixers, hosted in exciting spaces. We unite visionaries and leaders at Impact Marana, driving meaningful progress together. We look ahead with Marana Insights, hearing directly from regional voices about what's next for our town. And we serve, through the passion of our board of directors and ambassadors, creating a culture of belonging through service and leadership. Because of our members, we're not just doing more, we're becoming more. Together, we're shaping the future of Marana. We are the Marana Chamber of Commerce.
Looking for the best outdoor patio in Tucson? Look no further than St. Philip's Plaza at the southeast corner of River and Campbell, where you can sip on Tucson's finest collection of whiskey at Union Public House, brunch 7 days a week at Reforma Modern Mexican Mezcal and Tequila, and experience our newest restaurant, Proof, proudly serving house-made pasta and artisanal pizza. Enjoy live music and dine under the stars with Union, Reforma, and Proof. Join us at St. Philip's Plaza.
Hi, this is Sean McCluskey, co-owner and designated broker for Rincon Ventures. If you're a rental owner by choice or by accident and you're looking to hire or change property management companies, consider Rincon Ventures. We employ an aggressive web-based advertising strategy to market your rental. We thoroughly screen prospective tenants and conduct routine property inspections. Our online system gives tenants the ability to pay rent and file maintenance requests instantly over the web. Our owners can use the same system to instantly check on their properties. Call Rincon Ventures at 881-2258 or visit us on the web at rvprop.com.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
The summer is hot, but you don't have to be hot. Your air conditioner works hard to keep you cool all summer long. Call Picture Rock's Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing to keep your air conditioner running in tip-top shape for the long, hot summer. Our highly trained technicians will provide peace of mind knowing that you will be comfortable throughout the hot weather. Picture Rock's Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, keeping you cool all summer long. 520-492-0748.
Picture Rock's Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
All right, we're back. I was just reading a comment that came in on Facebook page, and it's from Mary Murphy. She's one of the council members in Oro Valley, and she says, "Tell Brian that Oro Valley would welcome him with open arms if you'd like to have one here. The two most requested businesses I receive from residents are Chick-FIl-A and Costco."
I would love to be there as well. Yeah, that's a real estate strategy that we'd have to work out with Chick-FIl-A. But I think there will be one there eventually. I think it's just a matter of timing and then competing against other opportunities that they're looking at around the country. But that would be amazing.
Yeah. The market is there usually a specific distance between each one that they follow, or is it just really just have to do with density of the population?
Yeah, it's more of a shared customer base.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually interesting. It used to be you can only have one, and that was true. It's kind of mindset that he wanted again to go into partnership with someone that was 100% focused. That's your only business. And he really felt like when you're hyper focused on that, you could probably achieve more. And I would agree. But I think as we've grown and it just makes more sense that now you're able to go multi and have two. And so really it's just kind of situational as far as the opportunity, and then shared market base, or like shared customer base, and then where that growth is going to be happening.
Can an owner and operator of one location get another location in a process?
In another market?
Yeah.
No, yeah. So if you had two, it would be more of just like right next door to where you currently are, and as a way to kind of relieve capacity and then kind of continue to grow in that market. But yeah, the model is only one market.
Okay. So when you were going through the process, do you have a choice on what location you are going to go and open this operation, or is it kind of like, hey, this is what we have coming up. You've got the opportunity to take it. Do you want it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. And so, it's in Chick-fil-A's best interest to put people where they want to be. Obviously, when it's as selective as it is, the more open you are, the probably better the chance that you'll be able to, to find a location. So I think when I went through 8 years ago, it was, I think it was like 8 locations that you put, and they were just general, right? They could be cities or a very specific town, or even kind of like a region. And then throughout the process, I got narrowed down into the West region, and then narrowed down to Tucson. And so again, worked out really well for us, and we're super blessed. I think now there's a little bit more transparency as far as like, here's what they're actually building. And so then you're able to kind of put kind of specific interest or dibs onto those locations. And then you go into basically a competing process against other external candidates or people internal. Because there is the opportunity for an owner operator to relocate as well. So like, let's say I wanted to go back to North Carolina, like I could do that, and then it would free this one up, and then it's kind of a shuffling of puzzle, so to speak. But let's say that one in North Carolina was an external wanted it, and I wanted it. Now we're competing for competitiveness, and that's really what Chick-fil-A is looking at. Is again, like do they want to go into business with you, but then also how competitive are you for that specific location? And so if you're an external that's unproven, kind of like I was when I came out here, you're kind of competing against people who are proven. So it turns into like a lot of I guess a lot of dominoes start falling to find the real location. So very thankful for what the real estate team does, and very glad that I'm not a part of it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And glad that I'm here, because I don't want to relocate. So
how's the market here in the summer? I've got a couple friends that are in the restaurant business, a couple spots, and they talk about the summer and what comes with it, right? Not only the heat and the wonderful monsoon that we get to see, but the kind of like emptiness that happens once the snowbirds and stuff have left, and the tourist attractions are not as great because the heat is, essentially just really, really hot. And what do you feel about the summer? How do you see it? Is it something that impacts you guys and you adjust, or do you is it just stay the same for Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, it definitely impacts us. I feel like it's last since we've opened back in 2017.
It's the AC, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, the AC. And I think I guess we've grown, right? And so with that, we probably also have more permanent residents. Maybe some snowbirds, or I think COVID shifted that a little bit too, where maybe some people decided just to kind of stay put, not bounce like they were. So the summer slows down. It just kind of also shifts for us, because like right now, I guarantee our play area is popping, right, with kids, and so we get a lot of families that'll come in, and the parents will kind of hang out and do life together, and the kids will go do life together in the play area, and so I think that shifts. It's hot out, so they'll kind of shift into the day part. So we actually tend to stay a little bit steadier throughout the day, not necessarily the peaks and valleys like when they're in school. We don't really see them till the snack hour or till dinner. But so we've kind of shifted them a little bit into the day, and we're seeing a little bit slower dinners because of that. Whereas like Friday night, like a Friday Night Lights type thing, they're either going to or from practice, going to a game. So we'll kind of pick up pre-game, post-game, those kind of things. Yeah. So it like this will probably be our slowest month of the year, but it's less drastic, I guess, than it was maybe back in the early days when we first opened.
Do you get whole teams coming in after some games?
We do.
Buses pull up?
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing that I'm super thankful for our team, because they just kind of thrive in that environment. But it's, when you see a bus or buses pull up, and that happened recently. I forget where the tournament was or what sport it was, but it was like when they got done, multiple teams on their way back up to Phoenix said, "Hey, let's go hit Chick-fil-A." So
Multiple teams.
it was like another like post game hangout for all of them in our dining room because there was multiple teams there, multiple buses, and our team's pretty efficient at just kind of rocking and rolling and getting them through it. So thankful for that.
I love it. What's your 3 favorite local spots to eat here in town?
That's a good question. So first I'll go with Blacktop Grill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of talked about that, and that's where I went last week with a group of operators, and I think that's I met him kind of through the Impact Marana as well, and it's just cool to see.
Yeah, we can say Gabe Senicetos, the owner of Blacktop Grill, is a good friend of ours.
Yeah, he does a great job, and it's cool to see the the concept of going from a food truck to a brick and mortar, and so that's pretty cool. Man, I'm on the spot here now. It's, I feel like we're kind of lame. Like we don't eat out probably as much as we should.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would yours be?
Blacktop Grill's in there for sure.
Yeah.
There's I went to it. I'm going to throw it on the list because it was just the service and everything was incredible. It blew my mind. Amelia's.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been there?
I have not, but that's on our list to go to.
Gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
I kid you not, the waiter came back and checked on us 4 or 5 times in between.
Nice.
The meal being, or us walking in the door, just checking. And I had ordered a coffee, and he's bold. This guy was bold. I don't remember his name, but obviously I got a coffee. It was pretty late in the day. I just needed something. We were getting ready to go to the football game, and I'm like, man, I'm just really worn out right now, and I could use just a little pick me up. And he brings this coffee, and I take a drink of it, and I'm like, wow, whoa, this is really good. It had a cinnamon flavor to it, and I'm like, I wonder if he gave me the wrong coffee. And so I'm drinking it, and it's insanely good. I've never had anything like it. And he comes back, and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, it's coffee. He's like, I felt like you needed something different. And I'm like, you just decided to take it upon yourself to just bring me something other than just the regular coffee, that you put in some sugar and whatever, some creamer if you want, like just the basic roast, And he's like, yeah. He's like, I just went for it. He's like, I just felt like you would enjoy it. And he told me the name of it, and I won't spoil it for him. I want people to go and try it. And he's like, yeah, it's a special coffee. He's like, I keep it ready in case I see somebody that might just need an extra pick me up. And I'm like, so this guy read me from the minute I got into the restaurant that I was tired, and needed that, and but also added another flavor to it on top of everything else. And I was just, that to me is huge. The food was great, but that thing, going back to you guys, this guy just boldly was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. I could have not liked it and been like, what is this? This isn't. There's the possibility of that. You've seen that happen in your industry before. Like, whoa, I didn't. That could have happened, but he went for it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of things there. Like you say, it's like the food has to be good, right? And obviously, I'm not coming up with our recipes, and so a lot of our local restaurants are obviously, right. And there's that passion around the food, but then it's like the food. It's a means to an end. It gets you in there, and that's the product, right? And like I often say, like if we were a baseball store, we'd have to sell the best baseball product, right, to get people to come. And so the food's what gets people to come, but I think the emotion and the connection is what gets them to come back on top of the food. And I think that's really critical. And it's critical for us, even on our limited time offers. Like when we have, like right now we have the peach milkshake as limited time, and then we have the pineapple dragon fruit specialty drink that we actually like extended because it did so well. But like you say, like if we don't tell people and ask them if they want to try it, they would probably never know. And I think most people come into Chick-fil-A, and I certainly did before we opened up. And it's just like, hey, I'll take the number 2, or it's just the same thing. And we don't have a huge menu, but I think we have a much bigger menu than people realize. And a lot of people don't even realize we have breakfast actually. And so, we're always trying to get that.
I just showed my wife that.
Yeah.
I used to work for like a flour vendor when I was younger and I was in school, and I'd always go for breakfast. And so I actually started making chicken at home, and there was a couple times I made chicken at home and my wife's like, why are you making chicken with your breakfast? I'm like, have you not had chicken with your breakfast? She's like, no. I'm like, here, try this. And then, you go to Chick-FIl-A, you can get some chicken with your breakfast.
Yeah, and it's delicious.
Yeah. I was like, what's wrong with that? Is it out of the norm? So, but
well,
I
funny
get,
because my wife we had that conversation the other day. We were driving somewhere on the highway and stopped at a Chick-FIl-A, and she was talking about that, how it's still a little strange having chicken for breakfast. But yeah, if you haven't tried it, it's good. But I think it's things like that, like even salads, and we have some fairly healthy options that people might not know about. So yeah, I think it's the experience that you shared. It's taking the opportunity again to get people in for something that you're very proud of on the product, but then just going again, like what we say, the second mile, but going that extra mile for that guest to make the experience memorable. And I think that's the challenge though, because you just rave something that someone could walk into that might not go as well, right? And so have I. And so that's always our kind of burden, is if you have a group of friends that are raving about some place that just opened up or that they really like, and they pump it up for you, and you go in, and even if it's still good but not quite there, it's a little bit of a letdown. And so I think it's that constant evolution, and I think trying to be authentic, and I think that's why it's not scripted, because I think when things do become scripted, that's where it becomes hard to replicate. And I think if it's just telling the team member, like, hey, we're going to make this product what we call all right all the time, and then from there just go be amazing and do your thing. And it's always great when guests will tell us stories, and especially mention team members by name, because that is right, that's memorable. And we really try to celebrate that with the team. And I remember we had a team member walk in one time, and I said, like, hey, go let your light shine. He's like, will do, sir. And that very day, just randomly happened to get like a very, very kind of special praise for how he handled the situation. And like, it's hard to train that, right? Like, I think you can train it culturally, but I think you find good people and empower them to go have fun with the guest and surprise and delight the guest. And I think that's where like the real magic comes out. And it sounds like you had that experience.
Yeah. No, that was the first time that ever happened, where somebody just took it upon themselves to go, you know what? Not just a coffee. Here, you have this little added thing for you. So that was number one, Blacktop Grill, Amelia. So my next one, I'm going to do 4, because I got 2 sleepers.
All right.
And both of them have great customer service. And Grumpy's, it's at Ina and Shannon. If you go to Grumpy's at the lunch hour on any day, and I'm sure the dinner hour, it's hard to get in. It's this little local place between, like there's a LA Fitness and some other stuff, and it's there. But the customer service and the food is on point every single time. I have yet to have a bad experience there.
Nice.
Like, it's always great. And we've gotten to know some of the folks that are serving there. One of the guys, he owns a print shop I think it's with his father, and he works there in the downtime, to get a little extra cash. But then he's like, hey, I'm going to be at the Marana Chamber of Commerce thing. Am I going to see you there, man? Are you guys going to be there? And sure enough, I was like, all right, I'll see you. So I went to the last breakfast, and he was definitely there hanging out. But he's over there serving at Grumpy's. And then, it's just a great place to go if you're looking for a burger, some fries. They do really well with the green chili there. They got some burgers and some wraps that have really good green chili in it. And then the other sleeper is called Just Kebabs. Have you heard of it?
I have.
Over in Oro Valley?
Yeah.
Man, if you get a chance, have you had the humble fries yet?
I have not.
Okay, get an order of the humble fries. It's these fries, and they put the seasoning on it, and it's got a little kick to it. So I'll warn you, get a good amount of refreshment to go with it. I would do water. It's because it can get a little, if you're eating it for a little while, it can get a little spicy. But the chicken and the meat there is just great. The rice, then the portions are big, and the owner, every time I've been there, the owner's there.
Nice.
And you see him, and you can see. So they have this window, you can look in and you can see it being cooked. I think it's just great.
Yeah.
So what do you got? Yeah, what do you got? I'm not judging. I'm just hey, I'm truly the goal of this is to not only promote people to go eat locally here, and but not to take from you, but just
absolutely.
Like I said, they get hit hard with the summer thing, and they've all expressed it. But to find some new flavor,
Yeah. One that we've been doing lately is Fentanelli's for pizza. It's kind of over there in the Trulin Grill or Trulin shopping center. And we found that because I'm currently off dairy for a short period. And so we were craving pizza. And my wife found that they have a cheeseless pizza, which sounds kind of ironic, but it's actually very good. So my family gets regular, and then I will get the cheeseless. So that's been a good one recently as well.
There we go. Yeah, I think my wife would put that on there for sure. What else? One more. Give us one more.
And then, we're actually just big like Sam Fox concepts.
Yeah.
Especially like Flower Child. I know that's kind of closer down to the U of A, but I feel like when we are traveling and we see one, and our daughter goes to school in Kansas City, and they have one there. So it's kind of always a little bit of like, now that it's getting bigger, a little bit of like home when she's there. But we like that kind of the freshness of it, and then the simplicity of it as well. It's kind of a cool eclectic. Have you eaten there?
I have not. No, I'm not.
Yeah, that
try
one's
now.
pretty good. Yeah.
Gonna mark it.
Yeah.
There's one thing that, makes me sad. I ask this question a lot, and I know some of the other hosts ask this question, but we don't ever really hear a barbecue place mentioned.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking as you were saying that. So we live up in Oro Valley, so we will do Bub's Grub at times, and then the Fork and Fire as well. Yeah, when it comes to barbecue, but I don't know, barbecue is a tough one.
It's really, it hasn't really hit here yet. Like I'm not knocking any of those restaurants or whatever, but I think, I briefly lived in Missouri for a little bit when I was going to school, and I came across some really good barbecue and the presentation of it and everything. But it's like, haven't had that experience yet. No, I haven't had anybody come on the show and be like, oh, like a number one is a barbecue place, or even number two. So I'm wondering if, I always ask if somebody knows of a spot that, because I've heard of that one before. But I'm wondering if there's another spot maybe I don't know about, or maybe the listeners and viewers don't know about. So if you do, if you know of a spot, drop it in the comments so we can check it out later, or send us an email. Yeah, you can send it to contact@ltdmedia.net. But yeah, I miss that barbecue. I want that barbecue thing. Like, you can do decent stuff at home. Maybe that's part of the reason, because you can get a good pellet smoker and put together some nice ribs and stuff from Costco or wherever. But yeah, just never hear it come up.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
But good barbecue, and again, with our daughter being in Kansas City, like when you go there, that probably would always be first on the list somewhere there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so.
And in North Carolina as well.
Yeah. What's another top thing out there?
Battle of barbecues.
Battle of barbecues.
Yeah.
What's another like cuisine out there you think that's pretty popular in
North Carolina? Yeah, I think you get on the coast and you get a lot of good seafood, which is good.
Yeah. Which, I'm not a big seafood guy just because the distance between here and the ocean.
Yeah,
I always get skeptical.
You don't like the fresh local seafood here?
The fresh local seafood. Where is it sourced? It came out of Alaska. Oh, so it was a couple days trip there, huh?
Yeah.
All right. No, it's great.
Yeah, that was the biggest change for us coming off the coast, because we lived in Savannah, Georgia before, in the Hilton Head area, and so seafood was always a big part, as was water. So being in the desert, that changes a little bit.
Yeah, the water thing, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Brian, it's been a pleasure having you on here today.
Oh, thank you.
And I hope to have you back on here maybe in the next couple months or sometime next year.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You got any big events coming up that you guys are going to be part of that you want to talk about before we jet out?
Something, I guess you talk about the community, right? Like things tend to kind of slow down a little bit in town as well, like being out and about. I feel like our outward calendar definitely slows down in the summer, but inwardly we have we just had a family event last week, which is PJs. So all the kids came in their PJs, had dinner. But we do Tuesday Mood every other Tuesday. We have the cow, music, dancing, fun, arts and crafts, and then free breakfast for the kids. So that's every other Tuesday. So that kind of keeps us going throughout the summer. We call it like Summer of Cows.
I like it. You guys going to be at the town event coming up on July 4th? The Marana one?
I don't think we're going to be out there formally. Yeah. But
might just hang out.
Definitely hang out. Yeah.
It's for as long as we can with the heat, or if it gets rained out. I'm knocking on wood.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. Okay, if it happens, it had nothing to do with me. Just clear that out right now.
It's amazing with Marana. I don't know why, but I always feel like it's like a Hallmark movie events every time they put something on. It just kind of has that feel, like small town, but they do a really, really good job. So it's always fun to be a part of it.
And you just there's a good sense of safety.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you go back to the police departments here in Oro Valley and Marana, and they're a class act, man.
Yeah.
And they staff it. They take care of them. I mean, I'm biased. I worked for it, but I did work at a different place before that, and night and day. So you definitely see a difference in the culture.
Yeah, even in Impact Marana that day that we got to go tour the police department and the fire department. I mean, we're very blessed.
Oh, you were having a fun day that day.
Yeah, that was a good day.
You gonna become a volunteer firefighter at some point?
Do they have that around here?
I don't know.
Actually, I'm gonna say no because my wife would say, "Why are you?
What are you doing?
Why are you agreeing to something else?"
Yeah, you got to be busy enough, huh?
Yeah.
Right,
She's teaching me the power of no.
There's something with entrepreneurs. We all have this, like, I would say we have this ambition to do other things also. So I'm sure you've got some other stuff going on. And maybe we'll talk about that in another show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's hard to just stay like, oh, I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's been a pleasure having you, man.
Thank you.
Hope you have a good rest of the week, a good summer. If you're interested in being on the show, reach out to us at contact@ltdmedia.net. Again, the Marana Oro Valley Experience. Our website is in the beta stage. If you come up with any ideas of stuff you want on there, we appreciate it. It's gonna be, the build out should be done in the next 6 months, and we're going to use it to help people that are visiting to check out local spots and other spots as well, and visit me. Go to Chick-FIl-A, cool off. You hot? Go get some AC, get some good food. So, and good spirit. All right. Thank you so much, Shay. Appreciate you running the show today. If anybody doesn't know, Shay is one of our key components on running the shows, and she's back there. We appreciate you.